Call to order the city council meeting on this October 12th, 2022. It is 5:35 p.m. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll. But before you call the roll, Mr. Clerk, everyone, we're having some technical difficulties with the microphones here in this building. So what we're going to do, I need all of the council members to make sure that the microphone is on so it can record. And if you have public comments to make, when you come up to the podium to provide your public comments, make sure you speak loud enough so we all can hear, okay? All right, Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilwoman Campbell.
Present.
Councilwoman Godaro.
Here.
Councilwoman Wilson.
Here.
Councilwoman Julian.
Here.
Councilman Stevens.
Here.
Vice Mayor Leon.
Here.
Mayor Harris.
I'm present.
You have a quorum.
Please stand for the invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance.
God our Father, thank you for your grace, your mercy towards us. Thank you for your endless blessings and your continuing favor on this great city that we call Miami Gardens. Father, it is our prayers that you continue to bless us, the residents, its leadership, stakeholders, and everyone that calls this great city Miami Gardens home. Father, we pray that you continue to give us your knowledge, your wisdom, and your understanding. In all things, we promise to give your name the honor and the glory that it deserves. It is in your son's name I do pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, we're on approval of the minutes.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, you have before you the September 14th, both the regular city council meeting and the first budget hearing. Also, you have the September 28th, both the regular meeting and the second budget hearing for your approval.
I need a motion on the minutes.
Motion.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Showing none, show the minutes accepted. All right, we're on order of business. Any items that need to be pulled or added?
I would like to pull 11-7.
You got to speak up.
I would like to pull 11-7.
11-7. Any other items that need to be pulled or added? Need a motion on the agenda?
Motion.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Showing none, show the agenda pass. All right, what are we on now? We're on public comments. Let me make a statement in reference to public comments. I wanted to make sure that the public knows that all of your concerns that are being shared here with this council and with the city, that we'll have someone to make sure that they follow up with you at another time. We're not going to go into discussions here about public comments, but someone from the city will get in contact with you and address all of those issues. So public comments, I have Ms. Tina Alexander.
Good afternoon, King Alexander, 1799, Northwest 1552. I'm here about this. It's not a violation, but to check up everything that needs to be done. But the senior citizens, they only gave them a month. Some like to paint their house, redo their driveway, cut down trees that's not in their yard. I called code enforcement to ask them about that. They never called me back. The other new people in the area didn't get nothing. And I don't think that's right. We had to clean our sidewalks too. Mine is already done. But at the end of the day, why they didn't have to clean theirs? tomorrow is Friday's the 14th, and it's supposed to be done by the 14th. I don't think it's fair. If you're gonna do one, you need to do everybody. And I'm upset about that, because everybody coming to me complaining. I call code enforcement, if they call me back, you call me back, and I ain't call you. Have a nice day.
Anyone from code enforcement here? Yes, Mr. Manager. Ms. Bisbach, can you speak with Ms. Alexander, please? Ms. Rhea Hughes.
Good evening, everyone. Can you
Good
hear me?
evening.
Yes.
Yes.
Ree Hughes, 3335 Northwest 180th Street, Miami Gardens, Florida, 33056. This past weekend, Saturday and Sunday, there was an event held on 27th Avenue and about 174th Street. The building or property located south of Royal Funeral Home. Colorful building, you've probably seen it. This event was granted a permit with the event hours from 11 p.m. to 2 a.m., and an officer was on site. I heard the music and the DJs from 27th Avenue to 33rd Avenue and 180th Street. In reviewing the request for a special event application for a permit, if the application is not inclusive of the request for public music broadcast application for a permit, which stipulates hours of operation, is the special events permit exempt from the noise and nuisance ordinance? A portion of our health depends upon resting our minds, our souls, and our bodies. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hughes. Mr. Clerk, any written communication?
No, there's
Public
no,
comment?
no, there's no written communications.
Showing that there's no written communication and there's no more public comment. Speaker cards, show public comments closed. All right, we're going back to special presentations.
Item 6.1, special presentation by Councilwoman Shannon Campbell.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and the council.
You got to speak up now.
Can y'all hear me? Hello?
You're not gonna be able to hear in this mic, so just talk loud.
Let me use my teacher voice
There you
there. Good evening, everyone. How is everyone this evening? I want to acknowledge an organization that at the last entrepreneurship experience, they had the most young people attend, and that is the NAACP Council. Am I saying that correct? Youth Council, okay. So it was my word that I would present them with a monetary token of that, as well as they will be a recipient of my Positive Forward Progress Award. So I'm gonna come down and present this to you, and then I'll have my colleagues join me in a moment.
Speak up, Councilwoman.
My colleagues, would you join us, please? Thank you.
Are there any other special presentations?
No, Mr. Mayor.
All right. There's no ordinances on for first reading or second reading. No resolutions for public hearings. We're on the consent agenda.
Consent agenda. Item 11.1. A resolution of the City Council of the City of Miami Gardens, Florida, authorizing the use of the City of Miami Gardens showmobile for the Dr. Herbert and Nicole Weathram Community Healthcare Conference presents ARTSCI 2022, taking place at Trinity Church on November 3rd, 2022, in Miami Gardens, and waive the fees associated with its use in an amount of $700, provided for instructions to the city clerk, provided for adoption of representation, provided for an effective date. This is sponsored by Mayor Harris. Item 11.2, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Miami Gardens, Florida, ratifying the declaration of local emergency imposed by the mayor on September 26, 2022, due to Hurricane Ian, providing for adoption representation, providing for an effective date, and this is sponsored by Mayor Rodney Harris. Item 11.3, a resolution of the City Council, City of Miami Gardens, Florida, allocating funds from Councilwoman Linda Julian's public affairs account in an amount not to exceed $260 to the Susan G. Komen Breast Cancer Foundation, providing for adoption representation, providing for an effective date, and this is sponsored by Councilwoman Linda Julian. Item 11.4, a resolution of the City Council, City of Miami Gardens, Florida, awarding invitation to bid ITB number 21-22-031 to Weedaway Inc. for canal right-of-way landscape maintenance. Authorize the city manager to issue purchase orders in an amount not to exceed the budgeted amount, providing for adoption representation, providing for an effective date, and this is sponsored by the city manager. Item 11.5, a resolution of the City Council, City of Miami Gardens, Florida, awarding quote number 22-004 bus shelter metal posts and cross members to Affordable Metal Inc. and authorize the city manager to issue purchase orders not to exceed the annual budgeted amount, provided for adoption representation, provided for an effective date, and this is sponsored by the city manager. Item 11.6, a resolution of the City Council, City of Miami Gardens, Florida, amending the approved outside council list to include William Mark Gordonick, Esquire, providing for adoption representation, providing for an effective date, and this is sponsored by the city attorney, and that is your consent agenda.
I need a motion on the consent agenda.
Motion.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Showing none, show the consent agenda pass.
All right, item 11.7, a resolution of the City Council, City of Miami Gardens, Florida, canceling November 9th, 2022, November 23rd, 2022, and the December 28th city council meetings, providing for adoption representation, providing for an effective date, and this is sponsored by the city clerk.
This was pulled by Councilwoman Wilson. Councilwoman Wilson.
Yes, I had a concern about not having any meetings, essentially, to review our legislative priorities. We would only have one, which would be in December, right? We wouldn't have any in November. We would have one in December, and then we wouldn't meet again until the new year.
Yeah, no, in October.
You have one more?
We have one more in October.
Hmm?
You have one more in October.
Yeah, okay, so it would be October, right, which is in 2 weeks, but then essentially no more until December, right?
Right.
Okay, so then when would we discuss these priorities and be able to get them ratified? Because technically, we would need to have a legislative priority discussion workshop, and then we would need to have a meeting to ratify our approval, our priorities, right? And then they would need to be pushed by January. So that would be my concern as to whether or not we would be able to get all of that done in this timeline without a meeting.
Would we be able to have that put together before the December meeting?
I would think, and you can correct me, that you could call a workshop to do the discussion or a meeting in any time, correct? It doesn't have to fall on the. Look at all that has been talked about, the 7
to then discuss with the lobbyists, what we the kind of priority and how it should be. And then that application can happen in December. And when the applications come out, we'll be closing stuff on those in January.
Now,
If we needed time in November to have a meeting, then can we come back and have that meeting we can announce it and have that meeting in November? Go ahead.
So, Mr. Mayor, just so we know that you as the mayor can call a special meeting and 4 more council members can call a special meeting as well. Or if a workshop is needed, we can call it a workshop as well. Last year, we did a similar resolution last year. And then after that resolution was passed, come to find out we had some zoning items that needed to come before the council.
Right.
We called a special meeting for those zoning items. So that this item does not prohibit the council from calling a special meeting in November or maybe the first week of December to go ahead and get these priorities together. It'll just be a matter of coordinating the scheduled date. We can schedule a workshop or we can schedule a meeting.
All right.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes. Go ahead.
to the clerk's point, it's the matter of scheduling and checking the availability of the 7 of us. Should we just leave at least one of the meetings for the month of November? And that gives us an opportunity to continue the conversation around our priorities, and because we're scheduled already for 2nd and 4th Wednesday. So our availability is based off what our schedule is outlined. So instead of going through the hassle of having to check with each of our availability for the month of November to discuss legislative priorities, can we just keep one on the book?
We could. That's up to us. We could.
So it will, I agree.
one other point of clarity. Is a quorum required for a workshop?
No.
So a workshop is a point of discussion. Right, and then a vote is when you have to have the quorum to pass the legislative priorities.
Right.
Okay.
Can I make a suggestion that you don't call it a council meeting?
It's a special meeting.
You have here, but maybe you can use November 9th date for the workshop.
Or if we want to call
You gotta
a,
have stuff on it.
yeah.
No, I was saying, like, if we want to have a workshop to discuss it, and then since, as a result of it, our priorities having to be done before the new year, would we want to keep a meeting maybe in December as a point of passing the legislative priorities?
We have one in December.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's not canceling both meetings in December, just both in November.
Yeah, we kept one meeting in December.
Councilwoman, you good?
Yeah.
All right. Another point of clarity, Mr. Mayor.
Go ahead.
To her point, so at this point, what she's suggesting, are we going to go ahead and schedule a workshop? So like, I agree with Councilman Robert Stevens, since we technically are here the 2nd and the 4th. So why don't we just keep that as a workshop in November and call it a day, so we won't have to be worrying about guessing, and let's do this. Can we do this at this moment, please?
Go ahead, Mr. Clerk.
So probably my recommendation would probably, instead of doing a workshop like the attorney says, maybe schedule a special meeting on November 9th at 5:30 p.m. And the only item on that agenda would be the legislative
initiatives.
priorities.
What's the difference between a workshop and a meeting?
Because I think when we talked about the legislative priorities, you guys at some point is going to have to make a decision.
Right.
And I think the intent of the council to have this preliminary discussion is when we bring that resolution in December, that you guys already know what the 3 priorities, you're actually directing the manager, hey, these are the 3 priorities that we decide, bring the resolution in December.
Okay.
So special meetings allows you guys to actually vote versus a workshop, you cannot vote.
Yeah.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
when are the priorities due to the lobbyists? When do we have to have it in?
The lobbyists explained to us that they're due in January.
They're due in January.
Yes.
So if we were to postpone the 2 meetings so that means we would have to have this for the meeting in December, and that would roll into January to be submitted to her, and she'd have it in preparation for January.
Correct. So are we staying with what we have here, or are we making the motion to change it?
It's the will of the council.
Go ahead.
Okay, like, do we have to make a decision today on postponing or canceling anything? In other words, we got another meeting, right? Can we discuss this among ourselves in terms of the way we think that this ought to go? And then,
The second meeting in October.
yeah, the last meeting in October, we can have this item come back to us and,
Mr. Clerk.
Can I just recommend, because it's evident that the will of the council is to have a special meeting to discuss the legislative priorities in November. Tentatively, I would recommend that I'll go ahead and calendar it, tentatively set for November 9th at the regular 5:30 time. We move forward with approving this item, because at this time right now, we don't have any scheduled agenda items for November 9th. So we can go ahead and keep this, we can go ahead and
The
tentatively
space.
set a special meeting for November 9th for the legislative priorities. Say, for example, if we, between your meetings where Ms. Nelson, the nights is not there, then we can move it for another date. We're not locked to that single date if it's a special meeting. So I would recommend still moving forward with approving this item, and I tentatively set a special meeting of the council for November 9th.
I agree with you.
I'm curious as to why we're canceling the meetings in November.
Because right now, the first meeting in November, we don't have any items set to appear on that agenda. So we don't have anything to vote on or discuss.
and then the other one is Thanksgiving.
And then it's Thanksgiving for the other one.
So if we wanted to put something on the next agenda, we'd have to wait for it. Okay,
You could put something on
today's the 15th.
the October
So we got the
28th.
October, okay.
Yeah, we
Okay,
still got
okay.
October 28th.
I'm getting ahead of myself, okay.
All right, so
I'm comfortable with
you
that.
comfortable with that?
Yes.
All right, so I need a motion on this item.
Motion.
Been moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Showing no opposition, show the item passes.
All right, there are no resolutions, there are no quasi judicial items. We're now on to the reports of the city manager, city attorney, and city clerk.
Mr. Manager?
Mr. Mayor, Vice Mayor, council members, I want to take this opportunity to thank a number of people who participated in taking over food, clothing, you name it. We piled it all up and put it in a semi truck, and we went over there to the Fort Myers area to drop off to Harlem Heights area, the Dunbar area, and the like. I also want to take this opportunity to thank the mayor and council members. We were not only there on that Monday, we were there that Sunday talking to the county administrator in Lee County and anything that we could have done to help out and everything. And it was a welcoming meeting from the county administrator. We had the chance to talk with the mayor and talk about the things that they were dealing with. Obviously, the mayor offered any help and assistance that he could. If they needed to call upon the city of Miami Gardens, he was shocked to know that we were coming back the next day to participate in what the vice mayor pulled together in bringing the semi truck over with goods, all kinds of goods for the community. So it really was an eye-opening experience for all of us, I believe, because of what we were able to do in such a short time period. But there was one thing that happened there that I think caught all of us off guard, and that was when we were returning back on Monday. And I got a call from, I always call this guy my sergeant. So he called me and he said we were going to change the way we were going to move through the community to get to I-75. And as we were moving through that community, we ended up being stopped by the light. And obviously up until that time, we were able to go through all the lights, and we got stopped by that light. And unfortunately at that time, there were two young men who were OD'd on some sort of drug at that point in time. And our police department led by the assistant chief and the sergeants and the other couple of sergeants that were there and other officers that were there. We actually rescued those two individuals right there on the spot. We took control. We knocked the window out. We got the two gentlemen out. We called rescue. Rescue showed up. The Fort Myers Fire Department showed up. Fort Myers Police showed up, and really the police were there just to kind of maintain traffic flow because based on the leadership from our chief, all our officers knew what to do. And so I just wanted to say thank you for the opportunity to serve in this capacity as your manager, because we're able to work with folks like the police chief and assistant chief, our sergeants, our police personnel, because had we not been able to move the way that it was suggested, we probably would have never been in that spot to save those two lives that were, unfortunately, I think somebody did pass away. Okay, so someone did pass, but at that point in time, we did rescue them. But it was overall, the experience was good. There's a lot to be done in that community, in those communities. Mayor, as the county administrators mentioned to us, I'll reach out to them again next week to see what's going on, if we need to come back over there and help out. Our police officers are over there. We have a squad over there of a sergeant and 6 officers. We've been rotating on a weekly basis. The chief has taken the initiative with that, with the chief out of Coral Gables, who's been a big assist on everything. But I just want everyone to know that we showed up, we showed out, we did what we were supposed to do as a community to another community, in a community that similar to us, predominantly African-American, Hispanic communities, that we were able to provide that assistance. And then not knowing we had to provide assistance to saving at least one life, unfortunately, with someone that was overdosed on some drugs. So with that, I'll yield my time and thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. Madam Attorney?
I don't have a report, but I did want to say, thank you to the city council, vice mayor, for really who led the charge, and other staff people here that they're loading the truck. But it was a wonderful experience, donate, and you all made, everybody proud. There were several news stories that kept popping on my television, and, it really made everyone proud. So, and as it relates to business, you all have your quarterly engagement report. I did speak with Councilman Stevens, wanted to sit down and go over his in-depth, and it was a good experience, and I think that if you all have time, and I know the vice mayor has done it before as well, it was enlightening because the questions they asked, so if you all want to sit down and go over it, let me know.
No report.
After all that, you don't have a report.
Mr. Mayor?
All right.
Mr. Mayor, Mr. Mayor, if you can, I just wanted to welcome back the city clerk. I know he was out of town.
Welcome back, Mr. Clerk.
Okay, since the manager gave me the alley-oop, I'm gonna go ahead and dunk it. I just came back from attending the City Clerks Academy, the Fall Academy. As your city clerk, I'm doing what maybe 25% of the clerks in Florida do, which is go after my Master Municipal clerk certification. So I'm working on that right now. The highlight of this academy, the minute I checked into the hotel, the front desk person was like, "Oh, I know Miami Gardens. My brother goes to St. Thomas, plays football, and he talks about this little spot he goes for lunch called Love It." I'm like, "Oh, Love It and Like It, that's my spot too." So being able to have that conversation, and then when I went to Duffy's there, I met a young man who's doing a master's program at one of the local universities up there, and he's a graduate from Florida Memorial. He talked about wanting to come back down to Miami Gardens once he finishes master's. So it's just it makes me very proud when I do go on to these ventures to hear people talk about how good the city of Miami Gardens is, and kudos to this council for your leadership and how we do things.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Mr. Stevens?
Yes, good evening, Mr. Mayor, residents, everyone, thank you. Before I dive into my report, I echo what our city manager mentioned as as it relates to the rescue effort that the vice mayor put together for our fellow neighbors in Lee County. I was a part of it, and let me say it was very rewarding to be able to travel. Well, prior to traveling over to Fort Myers on Monday, was it Tuesday? Monday. On Monday to deliver the items to the communities. It was very rewarding. And I can't thank the residents that participated in the drive, as well as our city staff who sacrificed their day off to travel over to Lee County to provide assistance and relief. So from the bottom of my heart, I say thank you, thank you, thank you. And let me say, to see the best police department in action firsthand did my heart very, very, very well. I looked at the city manager and I told him, boy, there's something about that Miami Gardens seal. When I see that seal on the side of it just makes me feel very, very, very proud. Not as a council member, but as a resident of Miami Gardens. It makes me feel very, very, very proud. So thank you, Chief, Deputy Chief, our Assistant Chief, and our command staff as a whole for your leadership in leading our men and women every day to protect and serve not only just Miami Gardens, but all the communities around. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And to our public affairs department, you all did a fantastic job. Sam was on the 18-wheeler the entire time throwing water down. So I just wanted to say thank you, thank you, thank you. And Vice Mayor, thank you for answering the call and, as we would say, allowing the Lord to use you. So thank you for that. Last week on October 4th, we had a great conversation at my Table Talk Tuesday. This month, we were at Moonflower Essentials by May Rain, and all of my colleagues were present. So thank you all so very much for participating in the conversation. Residents expressed their community concerns and encouraging words to help my colleagues and I make Miami Gardens the place where you want to be. So thank you so much, and I'll see you all in December. We will not have a table talk in November due to our annual book, our read-in and book fair that I'll speak about later in this report, but I look forward to partnering with you, seeing you all again the first Tuesday in December at Starbucks. On Wednesday, October 5th, we also, residents joined me at a digital finance workshop, partner with Web3 Trap In to gain knowledge on financial literacy in the global financial system. The next workshop will take place in Betty T Auditorium on Wednesday, November 2nd at 4:30 p.m. I encourage everyone to come out and be a part of it as well. And then finally, on November 1st, millions of people are celebrating authors and books that they write on National Authors Day. So I invite you all to join myself and authors from our local communities on November 1 at 6:30 p.m. at the Senior Family Center, where we'll have a read-in and book fair. Authors are invited to share their passion and write and work with everyone as we commemorate this day. And you'll also have an opportunity to purchase books from the local authors there. It was a great experience. Last year, we had a panel discussion where the authors were able to read a portion of their book and talk about their writing process. And then the residents had an opportunity to go around the room and shop for books and all that other good stuff. And then finally I'm sorry, I said that was finally, right? Yeah. Finally, Wednesday, November 16th at 6:30 p.m., we'll be having a conversation to discuss issues, to discuss resources for churches and non-for-profits with the process to receive funding from the various levels of government. This is in partnership with Congresswoman Wilson, Senator Chevron Jones, and our county mayor, Levine Cava. So I invite you to join me if you're stakeholders or any non-for-profit leaders that would like to learn about the funding process and what you're eligible to receive. As always, if you have any questions about programming or future programming from my office, please feel free to contact Mr. Anthony Stewart at 305-622-8000, extension 2831. Mr. Mayor, that ends my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilwoman Julian?
I don't have a report this evening.
Oh, thank you. Councilwoman Campbell.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor. All the stakeholders in this room, it's glad to see everyone. I want to recognize one of my constituents, Ms. Morrison. It's good to see you after the meeting we had in North County. So I urged them and asked them to come out to the council meetings, and she's here, so I appreciate seeing you in the audience. Thank you for coming out. I also echo the comments that my colleague, Councilman Robert Stevens, said as it relates to our police department. They're doing a great, great job, and my hands and go out to them, and prayers as well. Keep doing your good work, and next year I want to be on the court with y'all. I'm ready. Get my baller shirt. I'm ready. So I'm looking forward to that. Also, I want to thank my constituents my colleagues, the vice mayor who put together the efforts to go to Lee County. As I was traveling about, I think I was in Broward County somewhere at the time, and one of the young lady approached me, and she knew I was from Miami Gardens, and she brought up the fact that Miami Gardens, everyone's talking about Miami Gardens, and it's very, very positive. And y'all know my motto is positive forward progress. So when she came to me with that sentiment, I was all ears, and she was just glad to see how we came together to move forward to help others. Now that's truly positive forward progress. When a city comes together to help another city, that's huge, and the media is all over it. And I just want to give kudos to my colleagues that really took the lead on that and handled that very, very well, because it brought some positive feedback, and I was just glad to hear that. Also, I had the opportunity to go to DC to the caucus. It was an amazing event, eye-opener for me. So also, again, when I was everywhere telling everybody I'm from Miami Gardens, I had on some of my Miami Gardens gear, and even as I was walking from my hotel to the convention center, people would say, "Oh," stop me, like, "Oh, you from Miami Gardens?" I was like, "Yeah," and I'm saying it with pride, my eyes all big, and they really were excited about Miami Gardens, and I was just like in awe of that. So when I met those people, I went all in, being the #1 cheerleader, talking about Miami Gardens and how a lot of them want to come down here and do business with us. I welcomed them, told them to come on down and see what we're about, and also tune in online if they couldn't come and see us here in person. So it was Miami Gardens is on the map, and we're doing some great work. My colleagues, the tone is out there. So we killed that bug with that negative image, and we want to keep this positive image going, and I want us to keep doing that. So with that being said, I do have a town hall I'm doing next week, God willing, because you guys were aware, my moderator, Mr. Williams, he did suffer a stroke, and I mentioned that last time. He's doing better, but then his wife has succumbed to her stroke. She passed away. So let's keep the Williams in prayer, please, because they are very, very big in this community. So we want to keep that going. And then I want to thank the mayor for coming out and turning up a little bit with us at bingo. I think he had more fun than he expected. So it was good to see that, and the people were very excited about that too. They fell in love with him, as we all do, and they were just glad to see others, come out and engage with one another. And we need to keep doing that as colleagues. We need to support one another and keep doing that, and just keep it positive. I think that goes a long way. And I think that ends my report.
Hey, Mayor, I'm sorry, before we go on, since Julian didn't have.
No.
No, I wanted to just say, tomorrow is Anthony's birthday. So when y'all see him, make sure y'all wish Anthony a happy birthday.
Well, let's wish Anthony a happy birthday right now. Happy birthday, Anthony, to you. Happy birthday. Stand up, Anthony. Stand up so they can see you.
Happy birthday
Happy birthday, dear Anthony.
dear
Happy
Anthony.
birthday to
Happy
Anthony.
birthday.
Anthony's turning all of 22 years old tomorrow.
Good age, good age.
Young man.
And let's remember to keep Anthony and the mayor in your prayers after that loss that Northwestern had the other day. So we want to keep them with
Right now. Go ahead, Councilwoman.
I too want to echo what everyone has said about our trip over to Fort Myers. You know, Reggie is generally like a quiet guy. However, when he thinks that he's the logistics manager, he becomes something totally different.
Think he working at
When he
UPS.
think it, well, he get crazy, you know. So, but he did a yeoman's job in putting together and organizing everything. And I think that the thing that probably many people didn't see and didn't know is everybody that showed up and called. As we were packing up and getting ready to go, we had elected officials from Broward County all the way from South Dade. They called and said, hey, I'm coming, Rep. I'll be there with you guys in my prayers. Y'all call me, let me know when you get there, as well as those that showed up. They were there at 6:30 in the morning, ready to see us off, and then those that joined in the caravan along the way. And I say that when we got there and we started to unload that truck, it wasn't no junk that was on that truck. I mean, the residents and the people that donated, they gave quality items, things that you would be proud of. They did not send any junk. And guess what? The junk wasn't brought in by junk. The quality of the people of this city that went on that caravan, those that got on that 18-wheeler, from the city manager to our public relations department and to our first responder heroes. Now, let me tell you something. I'm gonna take a minute. I was in the truck, and for a minute, I didn't know what was going on because we were going through the lights, right? And all of a sudden, the police jumped out the car. I went to ducking because I thought, oh, they shooting. Yeah. And they were in life-saving mode. That's right. They bust the windows out. They pulled those people out. They made sure we were safe. They put us out of harm's way. The traffic and the highways were backed up. Am I right? For a moment, I did not know what was going on. But the life-saving and how they work together as a team. Yes. I mean, those officers, from directing traffic to getting the passengers out to making sure that their constituents were safe and that everybody else was safe. It was something like I have never witnessed before, even though I've seen them, but I never saw them in action that way. To pull somebody out of a car, give them CPR, break the windows, and these were men and women from our team that were moving in a manner. And here I am, I'm a woman, and you know, I tell y'all I'm a bad mama jamma. But I had the men that stood out and said, get back, stay in the car. And so there was the vice mayor, there was our city manager, they were on the ground too, making sure that, and allowing our first responders to do their job, but they had their back. Now, let me tell you, you feel so good and you feel so safe when you are in a situation like that. And, you know, sometimes when you're around people, you take them for granted because you see them every day. But you really with heroes. You are really got a hero standing right there next to you. And so they showed us what they've been trained. They showed us their level of experience and expertise. And I'm telling you, it's a high level. It's a high level. Just well-trained, well-experienced, and just kind-hearted people. And you know what happened? Once they secured the site, got the people in the ambulance, you know what they said? Glad to serve you. They got in a car and they continued on to their destination. And for that and that alone, y'all deserve a standing ovation. And I, to the city manager, to the chief, the assistant chief, Mama Pratt, your children did you well. Daddy City Manager, did you well? I got two things and then I'm done. Okay. The singing and the singing in the streets pop-up was excellent. Through the rain, we had to come inside, but we had a wonderful time. The Adrian Art Center, they are doing an incredible job in reaching out to the community. Leslie Estates residents meeting, it will be Saturday. We finally getting to a place where we're going to be able to fix the roads. So we're excited about what that HOA meeting is going to yield. I can't say enough to Sonia and to Tom for all that they have done and all that they will continue to do to make that area safer for our wonderful residents. This Saturday is the street fair and marketplace. We will be starting at 3. We'd love for you all to come by, get some food, see what the vendors have. The dress that I am wearing is a dress that I purchased there. And so they have quality goods that you can buy. I'll stand up one more time. Okay. All right, I ain't gonna do no twirl out. And then on Meet Me Monday, I would love for you all to come out. Our own deputy city manager will be there, and he is going to give an update on parks and recreation in residential C4. And our school board member, Dr. Steve Gallen, is also going to be one of our special guests. So please come on by and know that I love you and I'm proud of you, and thank you very much. That ends my.
Vice Mayor.
We had a time in Fort Myers.
We did.
I got to say that in order to keep from crying. But to get a phone call from the NAACP Secretary of Lee County to talk about in 2022 how African Americans, and the city is 70% African American and 30% Hispanic, and to see that they didn't have very minimal supplies to go on day-to-day operations. When we're talking to the residents and you hear that the message to evacuate came in English and the Spanish speakers couldn't interpret the message until their kids got home from school. And then it was too late for them to leave. The area that we were in, we never heard of before. I know I never heard of Harlem Heights. And to be able to mobilize and fill up a 53-foot trailer in 32 hours and turn around and get it on the road with nothing but God.
That's right.
And when you look at our staff, Miss Paulette, Tamara and her crew, Tanya, Sam, Cam, these people just as crazy as us. Because when we believe in something, they believe right with us. Cam told me, he's like, whenever you talk to Cam, he always say, I just talked to Diane, what's his wife? I just talked to D, and I told D I'm going. And I got to see this process all the way through. And we experienced the racism when we got there.
Yeah.
When we started unloading the trailer of stuff that our residents packed up, we had somebody have the audacity to tell people what they can and cannot get off the trailer
They met the wrong one.
that we brought to help the people. This is serious. So if we experience this unloading this trailer, you can imagine what they're going through. I kept Katrina off of her and I ignored her, and we proceeded to move through. And like she said, the residents showed out. The 53-footer was filled to the rim. Sam can tell you, he was in the back of it, pulling pallets out. And we took everything that we needed. We took the Bobcat.
Right.
We took a food truck to be able to feed the volunteers and the residents of that community, and the support of elected officials, like Councilwoman said, that called out and said, we're with you, even if we're not going. Whatever you need, you have our full resources. Our police department we provided them with the number to the major from Lee County. They met us right at the exit and took us all the way through. When we unloaded and had to go to the other part of the city, those pastors and community leaders were there waiting for us. We prayed together.
Yep.
We let them know that there's a city in Miami named Miami Gardens, that's in a financially sound position, that's able to support them and us. We're fortunate. We got Congresswoman Wilson involved because they had a brand new congressperson who didn't know what to ask for, what to ask FEMA for. So that's the level of service and people that you have sitting before us, sitting before you right now. So I just want to thank, it's too many names to call, but I just want to thank the entire city of Miami Gardens staff, residents. We had employees leaving from loading the trailer to go out and purchase things to put back into the trailer. We had employees show up with their truck full of I'm talking about some good stuff, name brand stuff. This wasn't no thrifty made. Name brand stuff that we sent out. And I just want to thank everybody for the role that they played, big or small. That's my report, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Last week showed the best of Miami Gardens.
All right now.
This Monday continued to show the best of Miami Gardens. Thank you, Vice Mayor, for your vision in that arena to get that up and running. And when you called me and told me about it, you know, we came out with you and we got with staff, and staff got all that stuff put on the truck. The residents of this community, I have to give a great applause to you for all that you did by helping to fill that truck up. Our Jewish community, we have to say thank you to them as well. There were residents that came out to the fill up for the truck that brought generators, brand new generators that they had just bought, generators with gas cans. We had residents, I think Mr. Cole came out there and went door to door in his neighborhood asking people for canned goods and brought canned goods back. We had people that came out there to pick up stuff and then realized that we weren't giving away items, we were picking up items, and they said, I'll be right back, and went to the store and brought back food and cases of water. I want to thank our city, man. I want to thank our staff, really, because we had people out there from the day that started to the day it ended working.
Yeah.
And then when I was fortunate enough to be able to go over on Sunday with the city manager, the chief, and some other chiefs from around Miami-Dade County, and we were able to sit with the emergency management team there in Fort Myers, and it was a true eye-opening experience. The heroes that we have in our city, our police officers that are up there in Fort Myers who are sacrificing, because they have police officers that are sleeping in their cars in order to serve the people of Fort Myers. Our police officers have built a tent city in a water park. And they're working diligently 12 and 16 hours a day in that Fort Myers area for a humanitarian effort. So, Chief, all the kudos go to you and your staff, those police officers who we are going to recognize that have been up there from that first group to this second group, and we offered that should they require anybody else to come, we'll be glad to send them. Because this city has been blessed.
Yes.
And we're going to send blessings to others.
Yes. 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 Yes.
So
Let me shout.
that's the end of my report. And thank you.
Yes.
And I need a motion to adjourn this meeting.
Yes. You
Been
got it,
moved and
man.
seconded. Show the meeting adjourned.